Hey guys, welcome back to What's New at AGBU. My name is Navat Papikian and I will be interviewing Miss Azizian today. First off, as a new teacher at AGBU, what were your expectations and truthfully what became your reality?
Well, Nabar, thank you for your question. I honestly didn't have any expectations coming into this school. I hoped I would like my students, and at the end of the day, I love teaching English. But I honestly didn't expect to bond with my students as much as I have, even though it is only December. And even though I came later in the year, the relationship that I have with my students, I have to say I can't wait to come to work sometimes, and I'm like, what is going on with me? To the point that I'm excited to go see my students again. And so I think the best part about AGBU has been building that relationship with my students. And I don't know what they say about me outside class, but they love every minute that they're in my class.
What would you have become career-wise if you weren't a teacher?
I actually thought about this question a lot. I figured I always want to be a politician, and not so much because I want to be in the limelight, but because I feel like I really understand. I could understand people, and I could be a good public speaker if I tried. So, but I don't like politics. Neither do I like law school. So I don't know how that would have worked out.
Why were you interested in teaching at AGBU?
Teaching has always been my passion, and when we educate everyone in school, we always say like, find what you're good at, and everyone's like, well, I don't know what I'm good at, or I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. But I always known that I loved English and I loved reading books, and all I want to do was sit in a circle, as you see in this class, and talk about books with my students. And that's what brought me to teaching. As far as AGBU, I've gone to a private Armenian school myself, and I love being around my Armenian environment. I feel the most comfortable, and the family environment that I felt here. I've been to a couple of schools, public schools, private schools, and there's always a feeling you're an outsider or there's a time of adjustment. I did not feel that here. It was complete. Everyone knew my name. Like by week 2, like students that don't even teach came up to me and were like, "Hi, Miss Azizian." I was like, I feel right at home here. So I think AGBU has an amazing family environment, and everyone feels really welcoming. And I'm sure the students feel the same way.
What is one of your biggest accomplishments?
I have to say one of my biggest accomplishments, maybe it won't be reflected on my resume, but I love to travel. And sometimes, when you're younger, you travel for fun or new experiences, or to just test out your limits a little bit. I've done solo traveling, but I think my biggest accomplishment was when I decided I could merge my traveling skills with doing something productive to give back to the community, especially the Armenian community. So my biggest accomplishment was after the war of 2020, I went to live in Armenia for a year, and I helped start a kind of a temporary nonprofit while I was there for a year and a half, helping soldiers at the borders. And so that experience was one where I traveled and I sacrificed my time and abilities, but I've discovered some new skill sets that I could be of use. So it kind of made me realize that we just need to push our comfort zone and get out there, and you can accomplish a lot. So traveling and doing something productive was probably my biggest accomplishment.
What's the best advice you've been given about teaching?
Best advice, none. Every advice, you don't really know until you're in your own classroom. Every teacher or every experienced teacher has their own advice that has worked for them. I have almost all the advice that people have given to me that don't work for me in class. I realize that maybe I'm not a conventional teacher, and being someone that understands the student and giving a little bit of room for building that relationship kind of goes against a lot of the rules and regulations we put between the teacher and student dynamic. So sometimes I just go with my gut feeling in class, and I judge what the student needs in front of me, whether they need more support, whether they need more structure, because every student is different. So the best advice I have to give is throw all your advices out the door and treat the person in front of you like the human being that they are, instead of kind of like a rule book that you need to. Every kid is not the same, and neither should you approach them the same way.
How is teaching at AGBU different from teaching at any other school?
I think I kind of touched upon this, but yeah, just the family environment. Right now we just had an In-N-Out truck. I mean, I would love to go here if I was a student, and right now we're gonna have a dance-a-thon, and it's Thanksgiving break. I mean, I haven't been to a school where I'm having fun working. I can't believe I get paid for this.
Mechanism that you find most useful?
The teaching mechanism, I think the philosophy that I kind of structure my class is called shared inquiry. So you won't really, no matter how I do love talking, but you won't see me talking for 1 hour during class. It's a very shared inquiry. We sit in a circle, I ask questions. So I guess the whole classroom is structured like a Socratic seminar. I never lecture more than 5 minutes. I ask a series of questions, and then there is no one right answer. I feel like so much of education is structured based on what's the right answer, and taking tests. I don't do many tests in my class. It's really all analytical writing and thinking. So if I could produce students and human beings who could think for themselves, then I'm doing my job as an educator. I just want people to question and ask questions in class. So shared inquiry, we share amongst ourselves what we think and what we believe together, and we get to the bottom of it.
As a teacher, what are your thoughts about the school system in general? And in what ways do you think it can improve?
Okay, well, I'm not going to talk just about AGBU because, like you said, school system in general. So that's a great transition from what we were just talking about. I think the education system needs to move away from so much focus on test taking and get the right answer, and we need to do more. There's multiple ways to find an answer. There's multiple ways to approach many different perspectives that we could think. If we structured our classroom to be more creative, I mean, I did a creative writing in my class, and parents came up to me and said, wow, I didn't know my kid could write a short story. Like, it's not just about what we have to read for a test and memorize. You don't remember that stuff when you're older. I don't remember anything I learned when I was in high school, but I do remember the feelings that I walked away with, the thinking and discovering something new in my English class. So I really think we should kind of structure. Everyone needs structure, yes, I agree, but we should also focus on discovering and interacting with each other, and group work. Life is about cooperating, and I feel like you leave high school and you don't really know how to work with people, right? So just I guess it's more a different approach, but I find I try to do the best as I can in my English class.
You mentioned about living in Armenia during the 45-day war. What do you remember about it, and what do you think we take for granted?
Okay, that's a good question. So, as all of us that have gone through that experience, I kind of blocked it out of my mind. I feel like it was a different life. I was a different person back then. It was a completely different experience. But during my time there, I think one of the most moments that I felt like what I'm doing is right was when I met the soldiers firsthand. Because it's one thing when you sit over here and you donate money, and it's another thing to completely be part of them at their sites, at where they're setting up tents, and you see with their tattered tents. And then I was immediately motivated to start a fundraiser so that we could custom make tents. For example, it was one of the work we did there. And then we would deliver it. We would set it up with the soldiers, putting even an Armenian flag on the tent. That whole experience to me might seem so simple. Like, it's not like I got weapons and delivered, and but it was providing shelter for our heroes on the front lines just motivated me so much. And then as I've experienced that and coming back, I realized like people your age are living a completely different life than we are. So I think we definitely, everything we do take for granted here, and especially our homeland, we even more so, especially the young generation, is more united in supporting our homeland. And I feel like that's why going to a school like AGBU, going to a private Armenian school, any other private Armenian school, is the only way to ensure like we do have a homeland in the future and the continuation of our culture.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Azizian, for your time.
You did great.
Thank you.